Sophia Caldwell took a deep breath as she stepped off the plane at Denver International Airport. It had been 10 years since she left this city behind. Now at 40, she returned as a powerful CEO, the head of a tech empire that dominated the industry. By all measures, she was successful. Yet deep inside, something felt missing. As she walked through the terminal, memories came rushing back like an old film reel playing in her mind. The day she made the decision that changed everything. 10 years ago. "Ethan, I can't do this," Sophia said, gripping the handle of her suitcase. Her voice wavered, but her resolve did not. "What do you mean? Having kids was always part of our plan." Ethan, her husband of 5 years, looked at her with a mixture of confusion and heartbreak. "Plans change," she replied. "I have an incredible opportunity in New York. My career is finally taking off. I can't let this slip away." Ethan ran a hand through his hair, his frustration clear. "And what about us? Does our marriage mean nothing to you?" Sophia hesitated, her heart pulling her in two different directions. But in the end, ambition spoke louder. "I'm sorry, Ethan. I have to go." And just like that, she walked out the door, leaving behind a life they had built together, a man who had loved her, and a dream he had always wanted. Back in the present, Sophia shook her head, forcing the past out of her mind. She had a major business conference to focus on. There was no time for nostalgia. Her assistant, Olivia, was already waiting at the arrivals gate. "Miss Caldwell, welcome to Denver. The car is ready to take you to the hotel." Sophia nodded, adjusting her blazer. But just as she was about to follow Olivia, a familiar sound made her freeze, a laugh. A warm, familiar laugh that sent a chill through her. She turned her head and her breath caught in her throat. There, across the terminal, stood Ethan. He looked older, a touch of gray at his temples, but still undeniably him. And he wasn't alone. Beside him was a brown-haired woman, smiling as she held the hand of a young girl no older than 7. A teenage boy walked slightly behind them, eyes glued to his phone. Sophia felt her chest tighten. Ethan had a family. The dream he had once begged her to share, he had found it, just not with her. "Miss Caldwell, are you all right?" Olivia's voice pulled her back to reality. "Yes, I'm fine," Sophia said quickly. "Let's head to the hotel." But as she walked toward the exit, her eyes kept drifting back to Ethan. He looked happy, truly content. It was a feeling she hadn't experienced in years, despite all her achievements. In the car, her mind raced. She had spent a decade chasing success, believing it was the only thing that mattered. But now, after seeing Ethan with his new family, doubt crept into her heart. She took a deep breath. Then suddenly she leaned forward. "Driver, change of plans." "Where to, ma'am?" Sophia hesitated. What was she doing? This was reckless, crazy. But she had to know. "Take me to Willowbrook," Sophia said suddenly, her voice firm. She hadn't set foot in her old neighborhood in a decade, but now, something inside her was pulling her back. As the car turned onto a familiar road, she gazed out the window, taking in the city she had once called home. It had changed, yet it still held traces of the life she had abandoned. She didn't know exactly what she was searching for, but she was determined to understand the emptiness that had lingered, despite her success. Sophia made an impulsive decision. She found a house for rent in Willowbrook, just a few blocks from where Ethan lived. It was irrational, maybe even foolish, but she needed to make sense of the emotions stirring inside her. After canceling her commitments, she settled in and started observing Ethan's life from a quiet distance. Every morning, she watched from her window as Ethan left the house, dressed sharply in a suit. Before heading to his car, he would kiss his wife, Madeline, as Sophia later learned, and their daughters. The girls would board the school bus while Madeline left shortly after. One day as Sophia sat by the window, she was pulled back into a memory. Years ago. "Have a great day at work, sweetheart," Ethan said, pressing a soft kiss to her forehead. "You too," Sophia replied absent-mindedly, slipping on her heels. "Don't forget we have dinner with the Kensingtons tonight." Ethan hesitated, his brow furrowing. "I thought we were going to talk about starting a family tonight." Sophia sighed, adjusting her blazer. "Ethan, we've been over this. Now isn't the right time. My career is taking off. I can't slow down now." His shoulders dropped slightly. "Then when will it be the right time?" She didn't answer. Instead, she grabbed her bag and walked out the door. The memory faded, leaving a bitter taste in her mouth. How many times had she postponed that conversation? How many chances had she let slip away? Her phone buzzed, snapping her back to the present. It was Robert, her company's vice president. "Sophia, we have a problem," he said urgently. "There are ethical concerns about our data collection practices." A knot formed in her stomach. "What kind of concerns?" "It looks like we've been collecting more user data than we should. If this goes public, there could be legal consequences." Sophia clenched her jaw. "Damn it. Fix it, Robert. Do whatever it takes." She hung up, feeling the weight of her company pressing down on her. But as she looked back out at Ethan's house, she realized there was another weight on her heart. One she couldn't just order someone else to fix. In the days that followed, she continued watching from afar. She saw the way Ethan laughed with his daughters, the tenderness in his gestures. She noticed how Madeline was warm and patient, a mother who truly cared. It was a life she could have had. One afternoon, while sipping coffee on her porch, she overheard a conversation between two neighbors. "It's incredible how Ethan and Madeline adopted those girls," one woman said. "I know," the other replied. "Two sisters from the foster system. Such a beautiful story." Sophia's eyes widened. Adopted? Ethan had always talked about adoption, suggesting it as an option if they couldn't have kids right away, and she had always dismissed it, too focused on her career to consider it seriously. That night, lying in bed, she couldn't sleep. Her phone buzzed with endless messages from Robert about the crisis at work, but she barely registered them. Her mind was somewhere else. What if she had chosen differently? What if she had stayed? What if she had chosen love over ambition? Sophia felt hollow. The realization of what she had lost gnawed at her. She made a decision. She needed to get closer, to understand more. But how? She couldn't just show up at Ethan's doorstep after 10 years. He had moved on. He had a life. Then an idea came to her. She would use a fake name, create a new identity. She would find a way into their world without revealing who she really was. It was risky. If she was discovered, it could cause even more pain. But curiosity and regret were stronger than reason. Just as she started planning, her phone rang. Robert again. "Sophia, the situation is getting worse. We need you back at headquarters." She exhaled sharply. "I can't come back right now, Robert. Handle what you can, keep me updated." She knew she was risking a lot, her company, her reputation, everything she had built. But something inside her whispered that what she might discover here in Denver was even more important. The next morning, she put her plan into action. She watched from her window as Ethan's daughters left for school. That would be her way in. If she could get close to them, she could learn more about Ethan's life. Her heart pounded as she left the house. She knew she was playing with fire, but she couldn't turn back now. She needed to know if what she had walked away from was truly what she had always wanted. Sophia entered a small neighborhood cafe, trying to steady her nerves. She had noticed that Ethan's eldest daughter, Lily, often stopped by after school. Today, she would take the first step in her plan. She found a table in the corner and waited. A few minutes later, Lily walked in. The teenager looked hesitant, scanning the room as if searching for a safe place to sit. Sophia took a breath. "Here we go." "Hey, want to share a table?" she asked, keeping her tone casual. "It's pretty crowded today." Lily hesitated, but then nodded, sliding into the seat across from her. "Thanks." "I'm Beth," Sophia said smoothly, using a nickname she hadn't gone by in years. "Lily," the girl replied softly. "Do you come here often?" "Almost every day," Lily admitted. "It's easier than going straight home." Sophia tilted her head, curious. "Why? Problems at home?" Lily shook her head. "No, it's not that. My parents are great. It's hard to make friends at school." Sophia's phone vibrated. Robert again. She ignored it. "I get it," she said, focusing on Lily. "I had a tough time at your age too." Lily looked surprised. "Really? You seem so confident." Sophia laughed lightly. "Believe me, it wasn't always like this." Lily sighed. "I don't know, I just feel like I don't fit in, like something's wrong with me." Sophia felt a familiar pang in her chest. "There's nothing wrong with you, Lily. Sometimes it just takes time to find where we belong." Her phone buzzed again. She silenced it, guilt creeping in. Lily hesitated, then asked, "How did you get through it?" Sophia paused. The truth was, she had overcome it by throwing herself into her career, by shutting out everything else. but that wasn't advice she wanted to give. I learned to accept who I was, she said finally. And I found people who accepted me too. Lily smiled shyly. That sounds nice. Then, after a moment, she added, I'm adopted, you know. Sometimes I wonder if that's why I feel different. Sophia's heart clenched. Adopted. Being adopted doesn't make you different, Lily. It makes you special, Sophia said gently. Your parents chose you. Lily's smile widened. I never thought of it like that. Thanks, Beth. Sophia's phone vibrated again, for the third time. She glanced down at the screen. The message made her pale. Urgent. Possible lawsuit. We need you here now. Panic surged through her, but she forced a smile for Lily. Sorry, work, she mumbled. Then she hesitated. Listen, it was great talking to you. Maybe we can do this again sometime? Lily nodded enthusiastically. Actually, would you like to come over for dinner sometime? My parents would love to meet you. Sophia froze. Dinner, at Ethan's house. It was exactly what she wanted, and also her worst fear. I'd love to, she heard herself say before she could stop. How about tomorrow? Lily suggested. If it's not too short notice. Sophia knew she should say no. Her company was in crisis. She was lying to a vulnerable teenager. This could all go terribly wrong. But looking at Lily, seeing the hope in her eyes, she just couldn't. Tomorrow would be perfect, she replied. As Lily wrote down the address, one Sophia already knew by heart, she felt a storm of emotions. Excitement because she would finally see Ethan up close. Fear because he could recognize her at any moment. Guilt because she was neglecting the empire she had built. And surprisingly, a strange protective instinct toward Lily. As she stepped out of the cafe, Sophia pulled out her phone and called Robert. I'm on my way, she lied. I'll be there by tomorrow night. Hold things down until then. Hanging up, she stared at the address in her hand. Tomorrow she would step into Ethan's home. See the life that could have been hers. She knew she was playing with fire. But now, more than ever, she needed to understand what she had lost, even if it meant risking everything she had built. The next evening, Sophia stood outside Ethan's house, her heart pounding in her chest. She took a deep breath and rang the doorbell. The door swung open, and Lily's face lit up. Beth, I'm so glad you came, she said, pulling her inside. Sophia stepped in, taking in the surroundings. Framed family photos lined the walls. Toys were scattered on the floor. The house was warm, lived in, full of life. The kind of home she had never allowed herself to have. From the kitchen, a woman appeared, drying her hands on a dish towel. You must be Beth, Madeline said warmly. Lily has talked a lot about you. Sophia smiled, extending her hand. It's a pleasure to meet you, Madeline. Thank you for having me. Just then, a little girl ran into the room. Who is she, Mommy? Lily, this is Beth, Emily's friend, Madeline explained. Sophia knelt down to the child's level. Hi, Lily. How old are you? 7. Lily said proudly. Do you want to see my drawing? Before Sophia could answer, a voice came from the kitchen. Honey, where's the... Then he stopped. Ethan walked into the room and froze. His eyes locked onto hers. Time seemed to stop. Sophia's breath caught in her throat. Ethan stared at her, a mix of shock and recognition flashing across his face. Madeline, oblivious to the tension, introduced them. Ethan, this is Beth, Emily's new friend. Ethan blinked, recovering. Hello, Beth. Welcome to our home. Sophia noticed the hesitation in his voice. He knew. He recognized her. But he was keeping up the act. Thank you, she replied, forcing a steady voice. You have a lovely home. Dinner was a blur of tension and forced conversation. Sophia tried to act natural, answering questions about her life, all while knowing Ethan was watching her closely, waiting for the truth to slip. And for the first time in a long time, she had no idea what she would do next. Throughout dinner, Ethan barely spoke. His eyes kept drifting toward Sophia, filled with unspoken questions. Madeline, perceptive as ever, noticed something was off. Her gaze flickered between her husband and their guest, a crease of worry forming on her forehead. But Lily, blissfully unaware of the tension, chattered happily. Beth, do you want to see a picture of Daddy when he was young? He looked so funny. Sophia froze. An old photo could reveal everything. Ethan reacted instantly. Not now, Lily. Let's finish dinner first. Madeline raised an eyebrow at him. Why not, Ethan? I'm sure Beth would love to see. Sophia felt panic creeping in. Actually, she started, but Lily had already run off to fetch the album. When she returned, she flipped to a page with an old photo of Ethan, grinning in his 20s. See? Daddy was funny. Lily giggled. Sophia let out a slow breath. It was just a solo picture. Yes, he was. I mean, he is. After dinner, while the girls cleared the table, Sophia noticed Madeline pull Ethan aside. She couldn't hear their conversation, but she could see the concern in Madeline's eyes. A moment later, Ethan approached. Can we talk outside for a minute? Sophia followed him into the backyard, her heart racing. The moment they were alone, Ethan dropped the act. What are you doing here, Sophia? She opened her mouth, but no words came out. No. You don't have the right to just show up like this, not after all these years. Tears burned at the back of her eyes. I know. I needed to understand. His expression hardened. Understand. What? How the life you threw away turned out. The words hit her like a punch. Ethan, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. He let out a humorless laugh, shaking his head. It's too late for that, Sophia. I have a family now, a life. She swallowed. I know, and they seem wonderful. His eyes sharpened. I'll keep your secret, but not for you. For them. I don't want to hurt them. Sophia nodded, feeling a strange mix of gratitude and heartbreak. Thank you, Ethan. But he wasn't finished. This ends here. You're playing with fire. Leave, before someone gets burned. And with that, Ethan turned and walked back inside, shutting the door behind him. Leaving her alone in the dark. She should leave. She knew that. But something held her back. The connection she felt with Lily. Emily's joy. Even the warmth in Madeline's eyes. It was everything she had rejected. And now she longed for it more than anything. So instead of walking away, she stepped back inside, knowing that every second she stayed put her at greater risk of being found out. Knowing that she was crossing a line she could never uncross, but unable to walk away. Not yet. Where's the... Ethan walked into the room and froze. His eyes widened the moment he saw her. Sophia felt her heart stop. Ethan stared at her, a mixture of shock and recognition flashing across his face. Ethan, this is Beth, Madeline said, breaking the silence. Emily's new friend. Ethan blinked, recovering. Hello, Beth. Welcome to our home. Sophia noticed the hesitation in his voice. He knew exactly who she was, but he was keeping up the act. She forced a smile. Thank you. You have a lovely home. Dinner was a delicate dance of tension and forced conversation. Sophia tried to act natural, weaving together the details of her made-up life. Ethan barely spoke. His eyes kept drifting toward her, wary and unreadable. Madeline, sharp as ever, noticed. Her gaze flickered between them, a quiet concern deepening the lines on her forehead. But Lily, unaware of the strange energy in the room, beamed. Beth, do you want to see a picture of Daddy when he was young? He looked so funny. Sophia stiffened. An old photo could expose everything. Ethan acted quickly. Not now, Lily. Let's finish dinner first. Madeline gave him a curious glance. Why not, Ethan? I'm sure Beth would love to see. Sophia felt a prickle of panic rise in her chest. Actually, But Lily had already dashed off to get the album. When she returned, she proudly flipped to a page with a photo of a younger Ethan, grinning alone. See, Daddy was funny, Lily giggled. Sophia exhaled in relief. Yes, he was. I mean, he is. After dinner, as the girls cleared the table, Sophia saw Madeline pull Ethan aside. She couldn't hear what they were saying, but Madeline's worried expression said it all. A few moments later, Ethan walked over to her. Can we talk outside for a minute? She followed him into the backyard. The second they were alone, he dropped the mask. What are you doing here, Sophia? She opened her mouth, but no words came out. No, he said, voice sharp. You don't get to just show up after all these years. Tears stung at her eyes. I know. I needed to understand. His expression darkened. Understand what? How the life you threw away turned out? The words hit her like a knife to the chest. Ethan, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. He let out a humorless laugh, shaking his head. It's too late for that. I have a family now, a life. She swallowed hard. I know, and they seem wonderful. His eyes hardened. I'll keep your secret, Sophia, but not for you, for them. I don't want to hurt them. Sophia nodded, a mixture of gratitude and heartbreak swirling inside her. Thank you, Ethan. But his voice turned firm. This ends here. You're playing with fire. Leave before someone gets burned. Then he turned and walked back inside, shutting the door behind him, leaving her outside, alone. She knew she should leave. She should have walked away that night. But something held her back. Lily's innocence, Emily's quiet struggles, even the warmth in Madeline's eyes. It was everything she had rejected, and now she longed for it, desperately. So instead of leaving, she stepped back inside, even though every second she stayed put her at greater risk of being exposed, even though she was standing on the edge of a dangerous cliff, but she couldn't walk away. Not yet. The next morning, Sophia landed in New York. Her mind was torn, half of her thoughts still back in Denver with the family she had abandoned, the other half bracing for what awaited her at work. As she entered her office, Robert was already there, his expression grim. "Sophia, the situation is worse than we thought," he said, handing her a thick folder. She flipped through the documents, her stomach twisting into knots. "We've been collecting user data without consent for months." Sophia swallowed hard. How did this happen? Her perfect, controlled life was unraveling, and she wasn't sure she could fix it. "Without my knowledge." Sophia's voice was sharp. Robert looked away. "These were decisions made to increase profits. I thought you'd approve." A surge of anger and guilt crashed over her. Had her relentless pursuit of success created this? "This is unacceptable, Robert. We need to fix it, immediately." Robert sighed. "But Sophia, it's gonna cost millions. Our shareholders." "I don't care," she cut him off. "We're going to do the right thing, no matter the cost." She threw herself into damage control, working tirelessly to correct the unethical practices. But no matter how many hours she poured into fixing her company, her mind kept drifting elsewhere. To Denver, to Emily and Lily. She found herself constantly checking her phone, hoping for a message. Meanwhile, in Denver, Emily missed Beth. "When is she coming back?" she asked over dinner. Madeline glanced at Ethan. "I don't know, sweetheart." But Emily didn't miss the way her father tensed at the question. Intrigued by his reaction, she started asking more questions. "Dad, did you know Beth before?" Ethan choked on his coffee. "Why would you think that?" Emily shrugged. "I don't know. You act weird around her." Madeline watched the exchange closely, suspicion growing in her eyes. Later that evening, she confronted Ethan. "Is there something you're not telling me about Beth?" Ethan hesitated. "Madeline, Her voice was quiet but firm. "Do you have feelings for her?" The question caught Ethan off guard. "No, it's not that." But Madeline saw the doubt flicker across his face. "Ethan, be honest with me. Who is she really?" Back in New York, Sophia finally uncovered the full extent of the crisis. It was worse than she imagined. The unethical data collection ran deeper than she had thought. Fixing everything would send her company's stock into a free fall. "Think this through, Sophia," Robert urged. "We can cover it up. No one has to know." Sophia gazed out of her office window, remembering the integrity she saw in Emily's eyes. "No, Robert, this is not how I want to run my business." Robert's face darkened. "You're throwing away everything we've built," he snapped. For the first time, Sophia saw something in his eyes that scared her. A cold, ruthless ambition. Later that night, she overheard Robert on the phone. "Yes, she'll make the announcement tomorrow. The stock will plummet. We'll be ready to take control." Sophia's stomach twisted. Robert was planning a coup. She spent the night preparing her own counterattack, one that would expose both the unethical practices and Robert's betrayal. She was about to risk everything, but she wouldn't let her company fall into the hands of someone like him. Meanwhile, in Denver, Emily's curiosity deepened. She searched through old family photos and found one that made her heart race. There, standing beside her father in the past, was a woman who looked just like Beth. Ethan, still struggling with the emotions Sophia's return had stirred, made a decision. It was time to tell Madeline the truth. But before he could, his phone buzzed. A message from Sophia. "Heading back to Denver. We need to talk. It's important." Sophia boarded the plane, exhausted, but resolute. She had made choices that would change her life forever. Now she had to face the consequences. As her plane landed in Denver, she turned on her phone. A new message from Emily appeared. "Beth, I found something strange. Can we talk?" Panic gripped Sophia. Emily was close to the truth. Everything she had built over the past few weeks, the fragile connections she had formed, it was all about to come crashing down. With a heavy heart, she made her way to Ethan's house. But as she approached, she saw Emily waiting on the porch. The girl held an old photograph in her hands. Her expression was unreadable. Beth, or should I say, Sophia? Sophia's world came to a screeching halt. The moment she had feared had arrived. The moment Sophia had secretly feared and longed for had arrived. There was no more running from the truth. She had spent years building walls around herself, convincing herself that success was all that mattered. Now, those walls were crumbling. Back in New York, Sophia walked into her office, her mind torn between the corporate disaster waiting for her and the family she had left behind in Denver. Robert was already there, his face grim. "Sophia, the situation is worse than we thought," he said, handing her a thick folder. She flipped through the documents, her stomach twisting. "We've been collecting user data without consent for months." Sophia's pulse quickened. "How did this happen without my knowledge?" Robert looked away. "These were decisions made to increase profits. I thought you'd approve." A mix of anger and guilt churned inside her. Had her own obsession with success created this culture? "This is unacceptable, Robert. We need to fix it, immediately." "Sophia, it's going to cost millions. Our shareholders, I don't care," she cut him off. "We're going to do the right thing, no matter the cost." She threw herself into the crisis, working around the clock to correct the company's mistakes. But even as she buried herself in damage control, she couldn't stop thinking about Denver, about Emily and Lily, about Ethan. She constantly checked her phone, hoping for a message, but there was nothing. Meanwhile, in Denver, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. "When is Beth coming back?" she asked over dinner. Madeline hesitated. "I don't know, sweetheart." Emily glanced at her father. Ethan was tense, avoiding eye contact. Her curiosity deepened. "Dad, did you know Beth before?" Ethan nearly choked on his coffee. "Why would you think that?" Emily shrugged. "I don't know. You act weird around her." Madeline exchanged a look with her husband, suspicion flickering in her eyes. Later that night, she confronted him. "Ethan, is there something you're not telling me about Beth?" He hesitated. "Madeline, her voice was steady. "Do you have feelings for her?" Ethan shook his head. "No, it's not that." But Madeline saw the hesitation in his eyes. "Ethan, be honest with me. Who is she really?" Back in New York, Sophia finally uncovered the full scope of the corruption. The unethical practices ran deeper than she imagined. Fixing everything would send the company's stock into free fall. "Think this through, Sophia," Robert warned. "We can cover it up. No one has to know." She turned toward the window, watching the city lights blur in the darkness. She thought about Emily's honesty, about the integrity in her young eyes. "No, Robert, this is not how I want to run my business." Robert's expression darkened. "You're throwing away everything we built." For the first time, Sophia saw something in him that terrified her. A cold, ruthless ambition. That night, she overheard him on the phone. "Yes, she'll make the announcement tomorrow. The stock will plummet. We'll be ready to take control." Her blood ran cold. Robert was planning a coup. She worked through the night, preparing a counterattack, one that would expose both the unethical practices and Robert's betrayal. This wasn't just about saving her company. It was about saving herself. Meanwhile, in Denver, Emily continued her quiet investigation. She searched through old family photos and found one that made her heart pound. A picture of her parents. And standing beside her father years ago, a woman who looked exactly like Beth. Ethan, wrestling with emotions he had buried for years, decided it was time to tell Madeline the truth. But before he could, his phone buzzed. A message from Sophia. "Heading back to Denver. We need to talk. It's important." Sophia boarded the plane, exhausted but resolute. She had made choices that would change her life forever. Now, she had to face the consequences. As her plane touched down in Denver, she turned on her phone. A new message from Emily appeared. "Beth, I found something strange. Can we talk?" Panic surged through Sophia. Emily was close to the truth. Everything she had built over the past few weeks, the fragile trust she had formed, it was all about to come crashing down. With a heavy heart, she made her way to Ethan's house. But as she approached, she saw Emily waiting on the porch. The girl clutched an old photograph in her hands. Her eyes met Sophia's, sharp, questioning. "Beth, or should I say, Sophia?" Sophia's world came to a screeching halt. The moment she had feared had finally arrived. As soon as Sophia's plane landed in Denver, she turned on her phone. A new message appeared. "Beth, I found something strange. Can we talk?" Panic surged through her. Emily was close to the truth. Everything Sophia had built over the last few weeks, the fragile trust, the delicate balance, it was all about to collapse. With a heavy heart, she headed toward Ethan's house. It was time to face the consequences. But when she arrived, she found Emily waiting on the porch. The girl clutched an old photograph, her face unreadable. Beth? Or should I say Sophia? Sophia's world came to a screeching halt. The moment she had feared, and in some strange way longed for, had finally arrived. There was no more running from the truth. The next morning, the tension inside Ethan's house was unbearable. Madeline had locked herself in their bedroom. Emily refused to speak to anyone, and Lily, confused, kept asking what was wrong. Ethan, exhausted from a sleepless night, tried to keep things together. "Let's have breakfast," he said. "Lily, Emily, will you join us?" A heavy silence was Emily's only response. Meanwhile, across town, Sophia sat in her hotel room trying to manage the crisis unfolding at her company. Her phone wouldn't stop ringing. "Sophia, the press is starting to sniff out the story," Robert said, his voice tight. "We need to make an official statement before this blows up." Sophia rubbed her temples. "Set up a press conference for this afternoon. I'll take full responsibility." As soon as she hung up, she found herself staring at her phone. Should she call Ethan? Or Emily? Before she could decide, there was a knock at the door. She opened it and froze. "Emily. How did you find me?" Sophia asked, stunned. Emily stepped inside, arms crossed. "It doesn't matter. I want answers. Now." Sophia swallowed hard. "Ask me anything." Emily's voice was sharp. "Why did you come back? Why did you lie to us?" Sophia sighed. "I wanted to understand what I lost, to see the life that could have been mine." Emily's eyes burned with pain. "Were we just pawns in your game?" "No, Emily, my feelings for you are real." Sophia's phone rang again, cutting her off. Emily glanced at the screen. "Who's Robert? My vice president? I'm dealing with a crisis at work." Emily let out a bitter laugh. "So all this time, you had a whole other life, while you played happy family with us?" Before Sophia could answer, her phone rang again. This time, it was Ethan. "Sophia, Madeline wants to talk to you. Can you come over?" Sophia turned to Emily. "Your mom wants to talk to me. Should we go?" Emily hesitated. Then, finally, she nodded. When they arrived at the house, Madeline was in the living room. Her eyes were red from crying. Ethan looked like he had aged 10 years overnight. Madeline's voice was steady but laced with pain. "I want to hear everything." Sophia took a deep breath, and for the next hour she told them everything. Her marriage to Ethan, her decision to leave for her career, her regrets, and finally, why she had come back. Madeline listened in silence, her expression unreadable. Occasionally she glanced at Ethan, who nodded reluctantly to confirm parts of the story. When Sophia finished, the room was silent. Then Madeline spoke, her voice trembling. "I always felt like there was something, a ghost in our marriage." She turned to Ethan. "And now it has a face." Ethan reached for her hand, desperate. "Madeline, I love you. What Sophia and I had, it's in the past." But Madeline's eyes searched his. "Is it? Really?" She turned back to Sophia. "Then why is she here?" Her voice broke. "Why did you lie to me?" Sophia swallowed hard. "This is my fault." And for the first time, she had no idea how to fix it. "Sophia, Ethan only wanted to protect you." "Don't defend him." Madeline's voice cut through the air, raw with anger. "He's just as guilty as you." The weight of her words settled like a heavy stone between them. For a moment there was only silence. Then Emily, who had been quiet through the entire conversation, suddenly stood up. "You're all liars. I hate you all." Before anyone could react, she turned and bolted out the door. "Emily!" Ethan shouted, running after her, but by the time he reached the street, she was gone. Panic gripped him. Madeline frantically started calling Emily's friends, her hands trembling as she dialed. Ethan grabbed his car keys, his expression dark with worry. "I'm gonna look for her." Sophia stood frozen, feeling completely helpless. Then her phone rang. It was Robert. "Sophia, the story's out. It's in all the papers. Giant tech CEO involved in data scandal. We need to act now." Sophia's breath caught in her throat. Her company, her entire empire was crumbling. She looked up at the family in front of her, shattered and unraveling. Then back at her phone. Everything was falling apart. "Robert, I'll have to call you back," she said, hanging up. Madeline turned to her, eyes burning with accusation. "Leave." Sophia swallowed hard. "I want to help find Emily." You've helped enough, Madeline snapped. Get out of my house. Get out of our lives. Her words cut deeper than Sophia expected. With a heavy heart, she stepped outside. Just then, Ethan returned, his face pale with worry. I couldn't find her, he said, walking past Sophia without even looking at her. Sophia stood on the sidewalk, watching the door close behind him. Her phone kept ringing. Her professional life was in ruins, and now, the fragile connection she had built with this family was gone. She had lost everything: her company, Emily's trust, and any chance of redemption with Ethan. Tears blurred her vision as she climbed into her car. As she drove away, the truth hit her harder than ever before. This time, there was no fixing what she had broken. Night fell over Denver. Somewhere in the city, Emily wandered alone, betrayed, confused. Everything she thought she knew about her family, her life, had changed in just a few hours. And the woman who had caused it all, Sophia, was now left to face the brutal reality of her choices, both past and present. The next morning, tension choked the air in Ethan's house. Madeline hadn't left her room. Emily refused to speak, and Lily, too young to understand, kept asking, "What's wrong?" Ethan, exhausted from a night spent searching for Emily, tried to stay calm. "Let's have breakfast," he said softly. "Lily, Emily, will you join us?" A heavy silence was Emily's only response. Meanwhile, in her hotel room, Sophia tried to focus on the corporate disaster waiting for her. Her phone wouldn't stop ringing. "Sophia, the press is starting to sniff out the story," Robert said, his voice tight. "We need to make an official statement before this blows up." Sophia massaged her temples. "Set up a press conference for this afternoon. I'll take full responsibility." But after she hung up, she just sat there staring at her phone, debating whether to call Ethan or Emily. Before she could decide, there was a knock at the door. She opened it and froze. "Emily, how did you find me?" Sophia asked, surprised. Emily stepped inside, arms crossed. "It doesn't matter." Her voice was cold. "I want answers, now." Sophia swallowed hard. "Ask me anything." Emily's gaze was piercing. "Why did you come back? Why did you lie to us?" Sophia sighed. "I wanted to understand what I lost, to see the life that could have been mine." Emily's eyes filled with pain. "Were we just pawns in your game?" "No, Emily, my feelings for you are real. Sophia's phone rang again, cutting her off. Emily glanced at the screen. "Who's Robert?" "My vice president. I'm dealing with a crisis at work." Emily let out a bitter laugh. "So all this time, you had a whole other life while you played happy family with us?" Sophia opened her mouth to respond, but her phone rang again. This time it was Ethan. "Sophia, Madeline wants to talk to you. Can you come over?" Sophia turned to Emily. "Your mom wants to talk to me. Should we go?" Emily hesitated. Then, finally, she nodded. Sophia knew this was her last chance to make things right, but she also knew the damage she had done might be impossible to undo. Emily's sharp eyes flicked toward Sophia's ringing phone. She saw the name on the screen. "Who's Robert?" Sophia hesitated. "My vice president. I'm dealing with a crisis at work." Emily let out a bitter laugh. "So you had a whole other life hidden from us while you played happy family?" Sophia opened her mouth to respond, but her phone rang again. This time it was Ethan. "Sophia, Madeline wants to talk to you. Can you come over?" Sophia turned to Emily. "Your mom wants to talk to me. Should we go?" Emily hesitated. Then, with a slow nod, she agreed. Sophia braced herself. This was going to hurt. When they arrived at the house, the atmosphere was heavy with unspoken pain. Madeline sat in the living room, her eyes red from crying. Ethan looked like he had aged a decade overnight. Her voice was steady, but the emotion underneath was raw. "I want to hear everything." And so for the next hour, Sophia told them everything. Her marriage to Ethan, her decision to leave, her regrets, and finally, why she had come back. Madeline sat in silence, listening, her gaze flickering toward Ethan as he reluctantly confirmed parts of the story. When Sophia finally finished, the room was still. Then Madeline spoke, her voice trembling. "I always felt like there was something, a ghost, in our marriage." Her eyes locked onto Ethan. "And now, it has a face." Ethan reached for her hand, desperation in his touch. "Madeline, I love you. What Sophia and I had, it's in the past." Madeline's voice wavered. "Is it? Really?" Her gaze moved between them. "Then why is she here?" Her voice cracked. "Why did you lie to me?" Sophia took a deep breath. "This is my fault. Ethan only wanted to protect you." "Don't defend him." Madeline's voice rose, her anger spilling over. He's just as guilty as you. The tension in the room was suffocating. And then, Emily stood up abruptly. You're all liars. I hate you all. Before anyone could react, she bolted toward the door. Emily, Ethan shouted, running after her. But by the time he reached the street, she was already gone. Panic set in. Madeline frantically called Emily's friends, while Ethan grabbed his car keys to search for her. Sophia stood frozen, completely helpless. Then her phone rang. Robert. Sophia, the story's leaked. It's in all the papers. Giant tech CEO involved in data scandal. We need to act now. Sophia felt like the world was collapsing around her. Her company was crumbling, and now, the fragile connection she had with this family was disintegrating before her eyes. She looked at Ethan, at Madeline, at the chaos she had caused. Then back at her phone. Robert, I'll have to call you back. She hung up. Madeline turned to her, eyes full of betrayal. Leave. Sophia swallowed hard. I want to help find Emily. You've helped enough. Madeline's voice was ice. Get out of my house, get out of our lives. With a heavy heart, Sophia stepped outside. Just then, Ethan returned, his face pale with worry. I couldn't find her, he muttered, walking past Sophia without looking at her. She stood on the sidewalk, watching as the door shut behind him. Her phone kept ringing. Her professional life was in ruins. And now, the last fragile hope she had of reconnecting with Ethan and Emily was gone. She looked at the house one final time, tears slipping down her face. Then she got into her car. As she drove away, the weight of her choices pressed down on her. She had lost everything: her company, Emily's trust, and any chance of redemption with Ethan. Night fell over Denver. Somewhere in the city, Emily wandered alone, betrayed, confused. Everything she thought she knew about her family, her life, had changed in a matter of hours. And Sophia, the woman who had caused it all, now faced the brutal truth of her choices. She had wanted answers, but the cost of knowing had been losing everything. The weight of Sophia's choices, both past and present, was crushing. After returning from searching for Emily, the family and Sophia headed back to Ethan's house. Exhaustion clung to all of them, but there were conversations that could no longer be avoided. Sophia took a deep breath and turned to Emily. Can we talk? In private? Madeline and Ethan exchanged wary glances before hesitantly nodding. Emily folded her arms. Fine. Sophia sat across from Emily, her heart pounding. Emily, she began softly, I owe you a full explanation. Emily's expression was guarded, her pain still fresh. Why should I believe you now? Sophia exhaled slowly. You have no reason to, but I hope you'll listen. And then, she told her everything. Her fear of intimacy, her dread of commitment, how she ran from anything that threatened her control. When I left your father, I thought I was choosing freedom. Sophia's voice cracked. But in reality, I was imprisoning myself. Emily listened in silence, her face a mixture of emotions she didn't yet have words for. And then I met you, Sophia continued. I saw in you the girl I used to be, full of potential but afraid to connect. I wanted to help you avoid making the same mistakes I did. Emily's voice was quiet but firm. But you lied to me. Sophia nodded, shame washing over her. Yes, and that was unforgivable. I should have been honest from the start. A long silence stretched between them. Then Emily spoke. Do you know why I ran away? Sophia shook her head. Emily swallowed hard. To see who really cared, who would come after me. Sophia felt tears sting her eyes. And we came, all of us. Emily nodded slowly. Yes, you did. In the living room, Sophia's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Finally, she picked up. Sophia, it's chaos here, Robert's voice shouted. The board is furious, we're about to lose everything. Sophia's grip tightened around the phone. I'll be there in an hour, Robert. As she hung up, she noticed Ethan standing in the doorway. Problems? He asked. She nodded. My company is falling apart, and I suspect Robert, my vice president, is behind it. Ethan studied her for a moment. Then, with a quieter voice, he said, Sophia, can we talk? They stepped outside into the backyard. The morning sun cast a golden glow over everything, making the moment feel strangely surreal. Why did you really come back? Ethan asked finally. Sophia closed her eyes for a second before answering. Because I realized I made the biggest mistake of my life when I left you. Ethan didn't respond immediately. Instead, he stared at the horizon as if searching for something he couldn't quite find. I loved you so much, Sophia. His voice was raw, You're leaving? It destroyed me. Sophia swallowed hard. I know, and I'm sorry, more than I can ever express. Ethan finally turned to her. And now, Sophia's drifted back to the house, to the people inside who had unknowingly changed her life. Now, I want to fix what I broke. She looked him in the eyes. Not between us, Ethan. That ship has sailed, but with Emily, with your family. Ethan nodded slowly. And your company? Sophia squared her shoulders. I'll face the consequences of my actions. It's time to take responsibility. At that moment, Madeline stepped onto the porch holding out Sophia's phone. There's a man named Robert on the line. He says it's urgent. Sophia took the phone. Robert, I'm on my way. Prepare all the documents. We're going to expose everything. Robert's furious voice crackled through the speaker. What? You're going to ruin everything. Sophia's voice was calm, steady. No, Robert, you almost ruined everything. With your greed, it's over. She hung up and turned back to Ethan and Madeline. I need to go. There's one last thing I need to make right. As she turned to leave, Emily appeared in the doorway. Her voice was small. You're leaving? Sophia walked over to her, meeting her gaze. Yes, but not for good. She took a deep breath. If you'll let me, I'd like to continue being part of your life. No more lies this time. Emily hesitated. Then, after what felt like an eternity, she nodded slightly. Maybe we can try. Sophia's heart swelled with hope. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. But it was a start. A wave of emotion washed over Sophia. She looked at Ethan and Madeline, feeling an unfamiliar yet profound sense of gratitude. Thank you for giving me this chance. I know I don't deserve it. Madeline, surprising even herself, said softly, Everyone deserves a second chance, even you. Sophia smiled, touched by the unexpected kindness. Then, without fully understanding where the words were coming from, she made a decision, one that surprised even herself. When all of this is over, when I've dealt with the fallout at my company, I want to use my resources to start a foundation, something to help foster children and families like yours. Everyone looked at her in surprise. Why? Ethan asked. Sophia smiled softly. Because I finally understand what really matters in life. And it's not power or money, it's family, it's connection. With that, she said her goodbyes and left to face the storm waiting for her in New York. But for the first time in years, she felt truly at peace. As she drove away, Sophia reflected on the whirlwind of the past few days. She had come to Denver searching for answers, hoping to understand what she had lost. Now she was leaving with something far greater. Not just a deeper understanding of what she had left behind, but a clear vision of what truly mattered. Her future was uncertain. Her career, her reputation, everything was on the line. But regardless of the outcome, she knew she was finally on the right path. The following month was an emotional roller coaster for Sophia. She returned to New York, ready to face the consequences of her actions, determined to rebuild, not just her company, but herself. The board meeting was tense. Executives sat around the long conference table, their expressions unreadable. As Sophia stepped inside, she felt the weight of their accusing stares, but she held her head high. Ladies and gentlemen, she began, her voice steady, I am here to expose every unethical practice that took place under my leadership and to take full responsibility. For hours, she laid everything bare, every violation, every questionable decision. She spared no one, including herself. Robert, sitting in the corner, grew paler with every revelation. When she finished, silence hung heavy in the room. Finally, the chairman spoke. Miss Caldwell, your actions are commendable, but the consequences will be severe. Do you understand that? Sophia nodded. Completely. And I am prepared to face them. As expected, she was removed from her position as CEO. The company's stock plummeted. Years of her hard work crumbled before her eyes. But to her surprise, she felt relieved, as if a massive weight had finally been lifted from her shoulders. Weeks passed. Sophia assumed she would be completely cut off from the company. Then, a call came. It was the new CEO. Sophia, he said, we want you to lead our ethical reform. No one understands the issues better than you, and your honesty impressed many of us. She hesitated. I don't know if I'm the right person for this. On the contrary, he replied, you're exactly who we need. Sophia thought about it. Then she made a choice. I'll do it, but on one condition. She wanted to dedicate part of her time to a personal project, a foundation. something to help abandoned children and foster families. In the months that followed, Sophia split her time between reforming the company and building her foundation. She used her own story as inspiration, speaking openly about her past mistakes in lectures and interviews. "I rejected the idea of family out of fear and ambition," she said in a heartfelt speech. For the first time, she wasn't running, she wasn't pretending, she was finally building something that truly mattered. And this time, she wasn't doing it alone. "Now, I want to help others avoid making the same mistake." Sophia's words echoed in the packed auditorium. Her foundation had grown rapidly, drawing support from people who resonated with its mission. For the first time in her life, she felt fulfilled, not by power or profit, but by purpose. She spent every spare moment working on the project, pouring her heart into something that truly mattered. But even as her foundation flourished, one connection remained fragile: her bond with Emily. At first, their conversations were sparse. Emily was still hurt, her replies short and distant. But Sophia didn't push. She respected Emily's boundaries, always making sure the girl knew she was there. Over time, their exchanges grew more natural. Messages turned into phone calls. Emily began to open up, sharing her fears, her dreams, her frustrations. Sophia listened carefully, offering advice only when asked. Then one day, Emily asked something that caught Sophia completely off guard. "Have you ever thought about having children?" Sophia hesitated. Then finally, she answered, "Actually, Emily, I've been thinking about it a lot." And just like that, a new chapter of her life began. Sophia knew the process wouldn't be easy. Her past would be scrutinized. Her reputation, her decisions, the life she had once prioritized over family, everything would be examined. "This won't be easy," her lawyer warned. "Your history of choosing work over personal relationships will be a significant hurdle." Sophia nodded, unwavering. "I'm ready to face it. It's time to practice what I preach." The process was grueling. Every aspect of her life was questioned. Her decision to leave Ethan, her past obsession with work, her mistakes. There were moments when she nearly gave up, when the guilt and doubt became too much to bear. One particularly difficult night, she picked up the phone and called Emily. "I don't know if I can do this," Sophia admitted, her voice thick with tears. "What if I'm not a good mother?" Emily was silent for a long moment. Then, to Sophia's surprise, she said softly, "You will be." Sophia's breath hitched. "How can you be so sure?" "Because you've learned from your mistakes," Emily said. "And more importantly, you care. You really care." Those words gave Sophia the strength to keep going. She faced every challenge with renewed determination. And finally, after months of waiting, hoping, and fighting, her dream was about to become a reality. The day of the grand opening arrived. Sophia's foundation had grown into something tangible, a support center for adoptive families. She was both nervous and excited, but when she checked the guest list, her breath caught in her throat. Ethan, Madeline, Emily, Lily, they were coming. Sophia felt an unexpected mix of emotions: relief, joy, and apprehension. Would they truly forgive her, or were they simply here out of obligation? She wouldn't know until she faced them. As the event began, Sophia took her place at the podium. She scanned the crowd, spotting Ethan and Madeline sitting near the front. Their expressions were unreadable, cautious, yet curious. Emily gave her a small, hesitant smile. Lily, ever the bright spirit, waved excitedly. Sophia smiled back, then she took a deep breath and began. "This place," she said, her voice trembling slightly, "was born out of regret and redemption." She paused, gathering her emotions. "I spent most of my life believing that success meant power, money, and status. But I was wrong. True success isn't about what you achieve, it's about the people you hold close." Her gaze drifted to Ethan and Madeline. "I learned the hard way that the choices we make have lasting consequences. But I also learned that it's never too late to do the right thing." The audience sat in silence, listening intently. Then, to Sophia's shock, Emily stood up. "Can I say something?" Sophia, overwhelmed with emotion, nodded immediately. Emily walked onto the stage. She looked nervous, but determined. She turned to face the audience, took a deep breath, and began. "A few months ago," she started, her voice shaking slightly. And as she spoke, Sophia realized that this moment, this second chance, meant more than she could have ever imagined. Emily's voice shook slightly as she stood before the audience. I hated Beth, Sophia. She took a deep breath. I thought she had ruined my family. The room fell completely silent. Sophia's heart clenched. She braced herself for whatever Emily was about to say next. But then, Emily's voice grew steadier, her confidence growing. Then I realized something. She glanced toward Sophia. Family isn't just about blood or adoption papers. Her gaze swept over the crowd. It's about the people who care enough to fight for you, even when you push them away. Sophia felt tears well in her eyes. She looked toward Madeline and Ethan. Madeline was holding Ethan's hand, both visibly moved. Then Emily turned to face Sophia directly. Beth made mistakes, she said. But she also taught us about second chances, about how it's never too late to do the right thing. A hush fell over the room. And then, applause. Soft at first, then growing into something warm and undeniable. Sophia's vision blurred as she pulled Emily into a tight hug, whispering over and over, "Thank you." After the ceremony, Sophia hesitantly approached Ethan and Madeline. "Thank you for coming," she said quietly. "It means so much to me." Madeline offered a small smile. "You've really changed, Sophia." Ethan nodded. "We're proud of what you're doing here." Sophia felt warmth spread through her. For so long she had believed she was beyond redemption. Now she wasn't so sure. Just then her assistant approached. "Sophia, the social worker is here with Tommy." Sophia's heart pounded. This was it. The moment she had been waiting for, and fearing. A small boy entered the room, his big brown eyes filled with both fear and hope. 7 years old, shy, careful. Sophia knelt down, meeting him at eye level. "Hi, Tommy," she said gently. "I'm Sophia." Tommy studied her, his little hands curled into fists. "Are you going to be my new mom?" A wave of emotion crashed over Sophia. Fear, joy, and an overwhelming love she hadn't even known she was capable of feeling. She swallowed hard. "If you want me to, yes." Her voice trembled. "I would love to be your mom." For a moment, Tommy hesitated. Then slowly, he smiled, tentatively, hopeful. Sophia opened her arms, and to her surprise, to her absolute joy, Tommy stepped forward and hugged her tightly. As Sophia held Tommy, she glanced up. Ethan, Madeline, Emily, and Lily were watching with warm smiles. And in that moment, Sophia knew she had finally found her place. Not at the top of the corporate world, not in boardrooms or press conferences, but here, with this child in her arms and this unexpected, makeshift family around her. Ethan approached, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Congratulations," he said sincerely. "You're going to be a great mom." Madeline, after a moment of hesitation, stepped forward. She crouched down beside Tommy. "Welcome to the family, Tommy." Emily and Lily approached, curiosity lighting up their faces. Tommy, still shy, gave them a small smile, and just like that, he wasn't alone anymore. Sophia watched the scene unfold, her heart full in a way it had never been before. The road ahead wouldn't be easy. Raising a child, running her foundation, balancing everything. But for the first time, she wasn't afraid of what was to come. She was excited. Tommy finally pulled away from the hug. And when he did, Sophia saw something in his eyes, something she recognized. The same look she had seen in her own reflection for years, the look of someone who had finally found home. She took his hand, squeezing it gently. "Shall we go home?" she asked softly. Tommy nodded. Hand in hand, they walked toward the door. As Sophia turned back one last time, she saw Ethan, Madeline, Emily, and Lily watching, smiling. A silent promise that this was only the beginning. Sophia took a deep breath. She knew her journey of redemption was far from over, but for the first time in a long, long time, she was exactly where she was meant to be. With Tommy by her side, and the unexpected support of the family she never thought she'd have, Sophia finally felt whole. She had spent years chasing an idea of success that left her empty, but now she understood the truth. Real success wasn't measured by career achievements or wealth, it was measured by love. By the connections we build, by the people who stand by us, even when we don't deserve it. As the sun set over the city, Sophia and Tommy walked forward, into an uncertain but hopeful future. Together, as a family. Wow, what an emotional journey, right? If you were moved by Sophia's story and her search for redemption, don't forget to hit the like button and share your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done in her place? Or better yet, what kind of story would you like to see next? Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next breathtaking narrative. And remember, as Sophia discovered, it's never too late to rewrite your own story and find the true meaning of family and success.